Angels and beasts. The city lay draped beneath a bruised twilight, its streets slick with the residue of a restless rain. Cobblestones gleamed like scattered shards of night, reflecting flickering lamplight in uneven puddles. And the fog that clung to alleys seemed to breathe, curling around corners as though it had a mind of its own. Alarin walked through it with quiet purpose, the weight of centuries pressing against his shoulders. His wings folded beneath his cloak, aching to unfold into flight, yet constrained by the gravity of his mission. He was an angel grown weary, his faith eroded by millennia of hunting creatures that were often more victims than villains. The lines between right and wrong had blurred into a landscape of shadows he no longer trusted. Beside him, Nerys moved with sinuous grace, the beast she once was curled tight within her borrowed human form. Her amber eyes flickered, molten and reflective, catching the faintest hints of the dying sun as it struggled to pierce the fog. She had walked the fringes of human society for decades, surviving by cunning, instinct, and the occasional mercy of those who did not perceive her true nature. Forced to ally with an angel whose presence reminded her constantly of her cursed existence, she felt the tension in her every sinew. Neither of them trusted fully, but necessity had forged a fragile bond stronger than fear. Their path led through abandoned districts, where once bustling markets now sagged under the weight of decay and graffiti bloomed like black petals on crumbling walls. The air was thick with the scent of damp stone, rust and ozone, curling into their lungs and sharpening their senses. Whispered voices slithered through the fog, a chorus of the lost and the malevolent, urging, mocking, and warning them in equal measure. Nerys's claws flexed beneath the gloves that hid them, each step precise, each movement a measured blend of elegance and lethal readiness. Alarin's silver-edged sword hummed faintly at his side, resonating with celestial energy that pulsed against the chaos of the corrupted city. Shadows deepened around them as they neared the cathedral, a monolithic structure abandoned to time, its once pristine spires cracked and warped. The air inside was thick, tangling with the scent of incense turned rancid, and the stained glass windows, fractured by neglect and violence, cast jagged shards of colored light across the floor. Within, angels once loyal to the divine danced in rituals twisted by dark influence, their faces masks of devotion masking corruption. Beasts, monstrous yet grotesquely human, circled among them, their claws scratching against stone, their eyes aglow with hunger and fear. The place seemed alive, each stone vibrating with the pulse of the chaos within. The first confrontation was sudden. A creature lunged from the shadows, its form oscillating between man and monster, teeth bared and fangs dripping with venom. Nerys met it with a fluid grace, her claws slicing arcs of silver light through the air. Alarin's wings unfurled, catching the storm lightning that had begun to arc through the shattered roof, channeling energy that flared across the hall. Their movements became a dance of lethal precision. She, instinct and predation. He, discipline and celestial power. The two moved in seamless tandem, each anticipating the other, as though they were two halves of a single being. Through the cathedral they discovered the depth of the conspiracy. Angels had forsaken their duties, embracing corruption for power. Monsters had learned cruelty from the supposed protectors of mankind. The chaos was orchestrated by a hidden force, one that twisted the lines of morality to manipulate both sides. The revelation shook them. The war between angel and beast was not natural, but engineered. The two realized that only by trusting each other fully could they prevent the collapse of both worlds. Lightning struck, illuminating the chaos in stark brilliance. Broken statues of saints and fallen angels were strewn across the floors, their eyes like hollow windows. The walls seemed to breathe, shadows pooling and rising like living ink. Nerys felt the beast within her surge, responding to the primal energy around them, while Alarin drew strength from his faith, however fractured, channeling it into a blade of pure silver light. Together they cut a path through enemies, both human and otherworldly. Their synergy, an unspoken covenant of survival and purpose. As dawn approached, a tentative light brushed the cathedral's shattered stained glass, turning the ruin into a kaleidoscope of color and shadow. The surviving angels and beasts looked upon the pair, uncertain, wary, yet recognizing that the rules had changed. Trust had become their most vital weapon, understanding, their shield. The line between predator and savior blurred, but Alarin and Neres had forged a new path, one that neither faith nor instinct could unseat. Outside, the storm began to ebb, clouds pulling back to reveal a pale sun rising over the fractured city. The fog lifted slowly, curling back into itself, leaving the streets slick but quiet. Alarin and Neres stood at the cathedral's threshold, watching the light scatter across the ruined stones, their hands brushing briefly in a silent acknowledgement. They had survived the night of revelation, and while the shadows remained, waiting and watching, the two understood that they could walk among them without fear. The cycle of conflict might return, but for now, the dawn belonged to those who dared to trust the impossible alliance of angel and beast. The city seemed to breathe again, tentative yet alive, the pulse of life and shadow intertwined. And somewhere in the stillness, Neres allowed a flicker of hope to take root, a fragile thing, but one that promised a future built not on rules of heaven or earth, but on the tenuous strength of choice.